What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at two of the newest additions to the Great League meta, Heliolisk and Steelix. Now, Steelix was kind of there, but with Breaking Swipe, it is now top meta, and Heliolisk is also an excellent addition to your Great League roster, in my opinion. It's just slightly above that Spice category. And in order to round these two out in the lead, we've got Defense Deoxys. Let's take a look at the battles and see just how strong these two Pokemon are. In the Great League, we have a Swampert on the lead. I have to stay in here, unfortunately. I don't really have an option, so we're going to see me stay in here just to deal with this Swampert. I would really prefer not to have this thing in the back, and it just kind of screws my back line up. So it's fine, like if I were to safe swap the Heliolisk or safe swap the Steelix and the Swampert counter swaps, that's a different story, because I could, get it down low enough where the Deoxys could farm down or, something like that. But in this case, because it's on the lead, I have to stay in with my Deoxys and just try to avoid having a situation where my backline has to see this at all. So what we're going to see here is Deoxys just throwing Psycho Boosts into the ether and just making sure that we can take care of the Swampert. We're going to go down here with a shield advantage, and that's fine. Steelix should be able to come in here and farm this down. And if I have to, I can also shield if they get to a Hydro Cannon against my Steelix. I can't quite farm down with Heliolisk, so the safer farm is going to be here with Steelix. I do opt to shield this because it would hit pretty hard, and I'm hoping that my opponent may not have anything in the back since they're so strong in the lead to Steels and Electric, that maybe they're weak in the back to Heliolisk. I safe swap in my Heliolisk, and in comes a Noctowl, and my opponent has made a grave mistake bringing Swampert Double Flyer into my Heliolisk here. Once the Swampert's down, the Double Flyers have absolutely nowhere to go, especially Noctowl, as its whole moveset is resisted, and even the Shadow Balls here are double resisted. So my opponent going for broke, trying to throw a Shadow Ball, getting absolutely nothing out of it, and I'm going for a full, complete farm down here, and I'm going to start ripping off the Breaking Swipes. Or I could just farm down, honestly, either way. But in this case, I decided to go for the Breaking Swipes because, they won't be able to take me out with the wing attacks, but I would certainly rather just end the game here. So I have the for sure win condition. I'm just going to go for the 3-volt switch down, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. Unfortunately, just completely hard countered in the back. There's nothing you can do against Heliolisk with that team once the Swampert's gone. So we safe swap into the Heliolisk here, and my opponent brings in a Medicham. Now, when it comes to the backline here, I kind of just go for the less of the two hard, responses. Like if my opponent's got a flyer, I want to come in usually with, Heliolisk, unless Steelix is not as good. Like I just want to make sure that, I have the opportunity to sweep in the back. And Heliolisk in this particular situation just didn't feel like it was going to be the sweeper I needed. And it does draw out the Medicham. Now, either way, you're going to probably draw out a Medicham. And because you can use Breaking Swipes, you're going to be able to put the Medicham's attack so low that Deoxys can farm down. And Deoxys with this much energy, I don't care what you're going to tell me, it's usable. You got a Golbat here. This is perfect for the energy on Deoxys. I'm going to get at least a shield, if not do a ton of damage to this Golbat. And so I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt here so I don't have to debuff my own attack stat first. Thunderbolt is going to come through, and then I'm going to go for the Psycho Boost right away here. But unfortunately, my opponent got up to the energy for a Shadow Ball, so I'm going to respect it and shield. Because we CMP'd, I can get the second shield here off my opponent or do a lot of damage to the Golbat. Psycho Boost gets shielded. My opponent has nothing left, but they have a Swampert in the back. So unfortunately for me, I'm in a very tough spot here. Now, looking back on this game, and even as soon as I played it, I played these games with my Patreons in my Patreon Discord on a live stream we did on Sunday. So I let this go. I didn't know how much damage it was going to do. And for some reason, I decide here that I'm going to shield the Steelix. This was a fatal error in my part. I should have just farmed down with my Deoxys. I should have saved the shield, because what I didn't realize here is that my opponent's going to get just enough farm to get to the Shadow Ball, and I'm not going to be able to farm them down with Steelix. So that was an absolute misplay on my end. My opponent gets to the Shadow Ball here, takes me out, and completely capitalizes on my mistake. So very well played. Good on them. So we're going to get into the next game here. We're going to have Deoxys on the lead versus Bastiodon. This is where I need to see the Bastiodon, honestly. So we're good. My opponent comes in with a Sableye. I come in with a Heliolisk, and they give me a move for free. Volt switches for free are dangerous in any situation that you are in. You don't want to be giving that kind of energy out for free. So Heliolisk is going to start going for breaking swipes. I'm double resisting the Shadow Claws, and even though I can let one foul play through, those do hurt. So I do have to, at some point, throw this energy. Let's see if I can get a shield for my opponent here. They actually shield this up. I will be able to win switch no matter what. So in a situation like this, if I were the opponent, I would have honestly just let that go, tried to get some farm on my Bastion, because there's no way that they could possibly have won switch there. All they're going to do is trade shields, and I'm going to go for a Grass Knot here against the Bastion if it decides to come in after going for one Volt switch, because I'm pretty confident that one Smackdown is not going to be enough, but two definitely will be. So going to get a little bit of chip damage on the Basti with the Deoxys here. Or with the Heliolisk Grass Knot, and then I'm going to come in with my Deoxys and start loading up on energy. My opponent can throw a move if they want to, but since they're staying in and farming, I'm going to throw this Thunderbolt just to make sure the switch timers are reset, and also to do a little bit of extra chip damage. My opponent has a Medicham in the back, and I want you all to watch this, okay? This is important. This is important. They safe swapped in there, well, I guess safe swap, but they swapped in the Medicham, and so they're going to go and bring in, or they're going to go for a ton of farm here, and I'm just going to keep going for the Dragon Tails as well. I don't need to shield if this is an Ice Punch or a Psychic. It does a laughably small amount of damage to Steelix, and my Steelix is a Shadow. I don't actually have a regular Great League Steelix. I would prefer probably the Great League Steelix, but after my time with the Shadow, it definitely has its merit. If you safe swap it and you draw a Medicham with it, you can flip switch with it, and I think that that by itself is just an absolutely disgusting thing to be able to do with a Steelix. So my opponent swaps in their Bastion. I'm going to shield up the Stone Edge here, and I should be able to farm down here. I'm looking to get to 2 charge moves against this Medicham in order to take it out, but I think I should be good with even just one here with how low the HP was on the Medicham. So yeah, gonna farm down, and then my opponent's just gonna quit their app, which I'm going to say it until the end of time. Just top left. Don't waste people's time. You're not doing any, but I may be a little bit bothered by it, but I'm more so bothered by the fact that someone would do such a thing rather than being bothered by the fact that it's happening to me. It's just common courtesy. But anyway, I'm going to safe swap in my Heliolisk here because I would like to get my Steelix aligned to this Dedenne. And Deoxys doing resisted damage while my opponent has an opportunity to do neutral is a situation I'd like to avoid. So my Heliolisk is going to be able to go for a couple of Grass Knots here. My opponent does have quite a lot of farming down to do. If I'm going for ideal timing here, I want to do it on 2 Volt switches because the opponent would get to 3 Smackdowns through 9 turns, and I cut them off at just 1 turn before that with my 8 turns of Volt switches. So Stone Edge is going to take out Heliolisk here, and this is a perfect farm down range for my Deoxys to come in and go for that. Now I'm hoping that I can get there before they get to a charge move, which thankfully we get the farm down. And now this is much more manageable, into this Dedenne, but they come in with a Medicham, and instead of coming in with Dedenne, they completely threw me off. I was hoping to Psycho Boost the Dedenne and dip into my Steelix, and I was doing something that I almost never do, which is blind throw immediately. I absolutely should have been patient, waited, and not do the thing that I tell my students not to do, which is just throw the energy. Now, opponent might be running Dynamic Punch or Power Up Punch. I've seen a lot of people running Dynamic Punch lately. I feel like maybe that because of the Psychic nerf, but Dynamic Punch, I feel like since you have counter, you probably still want Psychic just for the fact that it's Psychic type damage, and it really doesn't do much of a difference. Now I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake here because I want to just get rid of the Dedenne, and my Steelix has plenty of HP left that I can use to threaten this this Medicham. Unfortunately, though, because it was a CMP, we are forced to take them out, and if they decided to shield that, I would have been along for the ride, hoping to get to a breaking swipe, but unfortunately the opponent's able to farm me down, so now I have to call a bait here. I noticed that they threw Psychic into my Deoxys, and I called the Dynamic Punch. Even if it was an Ice Punch, it wouldn't have been enough, and we saw how much damage the Psychic did. So as long as I got to 2 Psycho Boosts here, I'm good. So hopefully this is going to be enough to take out the opponent's Medicham, and then that'll be a good game here. Well played. But wait, they have 1 HP. Who's going to win this? Nah, I still got Deoxys. Deoxys is a champ. We got this. Good game, though. Very well played. Very close game. Next game, we've got a Clefable on the lead here. A very awkward thing for me to have to deal with because, yeah, Heliolisk is okay, but I'd rather not be throwing Grass Knots at it. And Steelix, maybe it does wall the energy, but it also gets, double resisted by the fairy typing. So I'm not really looking to swap out here. I'd much rather try and get rid of this Clefable because it could be a problem. But as soon as they shield up that Thunderbolt, I'm willing to swap out because I can go for the Earthquake on Steelix. I'm not running Crunch. I'm not running Psychic Fangs. I'm running Earthquake. And that's exactly what I intend to do here if they stay in, which they seem to be doing. So I'm wondering what they could possibly have in the back. I throw the Earthquake right away because Clefable is a spammy little fairy, and I don't want to take any chances, but my opponent lets it go. And they come in with a Shadow, Alolan Sandslash. So I am once again almost reaching for the Earthquake. At this point, though, I feel like they're going to throw and take me out. So I want to go for the Breaking Swipe before they have a chance to do so. But my opponent, miscounting or doesn't know the counts from Dragon Tail to Earthquake, decides to shield up the Breaking Swipe. And because they come in with the Registeel before I can even react, my opponent makes a very nice snipe there and starts getting ahead on energy with their Registeel. So that means I have to come in with my Deoxys, and I also have to shield my Deoxys, and I'm praying that this is not a Zap Cannon with a debuff. It's a Focus Blast, which means that I can still go for a little bit more damage. I'm hoping to reach for a couple of Thunderbolts here because I feel like those would be enough, but if I save the shield for Heliolisk, I should still be okay. Because Heliolisk is part normal type, it does take double resisted damage from the Shadow Claws, and that means that I should have a little bit more to be able to manage my health against that thing. Now, thankfully, we get the farm down here, and I'm going to go straight for Breaking Swipe. I'm hoping that even though Drill Run is super effective and Heliolisk is very, very glassy, my Heliolisk will be able to survive after these two Breaking Swipes. My opponent over farming by a mile here. I don't know how much energy they've got. They have to get up to 2 moves here. And because of those Breaking Swipes, I don't think they can. Because Drill Run, as you're going to see, is not going to be enough to KO, and because they're double resistant, I'm going to be able to go, the Shadow Claws are double resistant, rather. I'm going to be able to go for this Breaking Swipe, take out the Sand Slash, and that's going to be a good game. Well played to my opponent here. Into this next game, we're going to have another Bastiodon lead. I saw more Bastiodons in these few sets than I have really anywhere else, but they come in with a Superior, and I'm really not sure what to do here, to be completely honest. Now, the thing is that they had Bastiodon, so because they tanked the Psycho Boost, I'm willing to come in with my Heliolisk here, shield up the first move. The opponent's running Grass Knot. Typically, you'd want to be running Aerial Ace and Frenzy Plant. I guess Grass Knot could be the move of choice if you don't have the Community Day Frenzy Plant. But I'm going to go for the Breaking Swipe here, and I'm going to hope that after this, it's going to prevent the opponent's Superior from being able to one-shot me with the Grass Knot here. Now, if that was a Frenzy Plant, there's a very solid chance that one-shots me. And unfortunately now, because I have such low HP, I'm not going to be able to win Switch if they shield, but thankfully they do not. And they're going to come in with the Bastiodon. I will go down to 1 Smackdown, but I can still align my Deoxys to this Bastiodon, which is the ideal thing here. My opponent staying in, potentially not having an answer to my Deoxys. We see MP tie on the charge moves here. Thunderbolt is going to do some chip damage to the Bastiodon. I'm expecting them to swap out after this. Perhaps Deoxys is an awkward thing for them to deal with at this much health. They do come into the Sableye. I'm not really sure why they didn't swap right away, but I'm going to come straight in with my Steelix here. I'm going to shield up the first move because I intend to go for Breaking Swipes, and I would rather shield the move that's not debuffed before I start taking debuff damage. So that would be where my shield's going to go. Plus, my hope here is that I can now farm down the Sableye after doing that much damage and go for the Earthquake. But instead, I kind of chicken out here, and I'd rather just go for the Breaking Swipe to put it lower so that I can farm it down from this range. My opponent going for a last-second charge move should be a foul play. Easily going to be able to live this. But my opponent goes for the return just because why not? And I should, if the opponent's Bastiodon didn't overfarm, should be able to go for this Earthquake here. And I over-tapped because at the very last second I was thinking about trying to catch on Deoxys, but thankfully they were not quite at the move. And we're going to take out the Bastiodon with that Earthquake. Very well played. Next game, we've got Deoxys into a Shadow Alolan Ninetales. This is a very awkward lead for me. Typically better for Deoxys, but I don't want to have my 2 Breaking Swipe users come in on a Fairy because that would be very awkward. Plus, Alolan Ninetales kind of dominates Steelix in just about every facet of the battle if it's running Powder Snow, which this one clearly is. And my opponent baits me. I have to be afraid of this. I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt here to get the first shield. My opponent and I CMP tie, me not knowing my counts. They're going to go ahead and get this Dazzling Gleam off, but Deoxys, like the champ it is, survives with 1 HP, and I get to see if my opponent wants to take their last shield. They do not. Come in with the Heliolisk and get the farm down snipe, and the opponent's got a Metacham in the back. and now I'm really scared because this Medicham could absolutely rip through the rest of my team if left unchecked. So I'm going to go for Breaking Swipe immediately to start lowering the attack. If they've got Power Up Punch, I am screwed. Opponent's going to go for a charge move here. I'm going to let it go, I believe. Nope, I have the energy for the Breaking Swipe, so I'm going to go ahead and shield this up and try to get to another Breaking Swipe. But my opponent making a catch there at the last second. Not sure what they caught it on, but Breaking Swipe on the... coming with a Sableye with the Breaking Swipe debuff allows me to get to another Breaking Swipe. Steelix is going to be able to come in and farm down, and even with a shield advantage, my opponent is not looking like they're going to have a good time here. With 2 debuffs, this Breaking Swipe is... it's a good move, man. I would not be surprised at all if Breaking Swipe got a slight nerf of energy next season. My opponent's Medicham is so low here that I can easily just go for the Breaking Swipes, lower their attack, and because they have Ice Punch, I'm assuming they also have Psychic. If they have Dynamic Punch, I'm done. But they have Ice Punch, does a laughable amount of damage. This Breaking Swipe will be enough to take out the opponent's Medicham, and this is going to be a good game. Very well played. Steelix is an absolute monster, and if you guys are not ready for it, it will destroy you. And my opponent lives with 1 HP, but they decide to... I don't know what that was about, lag or what, but the counter damage is not going to be enough, and we're going to be able to take it out. We get a really nice lead here with Deoxys in the next game here. First place, we've got to deal with Abomasnow, because once again, it has the ability to outpace my Steelix, has the ability to resist the damage from my Heliolisk, so I need to get rid of this thing. But my opponent's staying in, which is very strange to me. So I'm going to let this go, because I know they're just going for Weather Balls, hoping that my opponent at some point switches here, but of course they switch as soon as I throw a Psycho Boost. And now they come in with a Bastiodon. First of all, trainers, something I want to say about this. If you're playing Bastiodon, don't ever safe swap it. Use it as a closer or put it in the lead. If you safe swap a Bastiodon, your opponent's running something like Medicham, you are just inviting them to come and get a full free farm down, and that is just about as good as losing a game here. So thankfully, I'm not running a Medicham in the back. My Deoxys was in the lead, so thankfully for them, we're not going to forget that though. Thankfully for them, they were able to not get aligned to the Deoxys per se, but I'm still, you know, I'm still just, I don't understand it. I know that there's a good reason for it. There better be a good reason for it. But trainers, if you're watching this, don't safe swap your Bastiodons. It's just not a good idea. Opponent comes in with an Azu after their Bastiodon goes down, and after tanking an Earthquake, I decide to swap in my Deoxys, trying to get that first shield. Deoxys does its job, gets the Thunderbolt off, and now Heliolisk hopefully is able to come in and make some short work of the Abomasnow and the Azumarill that are still here now. Azumarill being the ideal matchup for Heliolisk because of the Volt switches. My opponent comes in with the Abomasnow, hoping not to get farmed down, but because Breaking Swipe is a 35 energy move, I'm able to get to it very quickly, get the first shield off the Abomasnow. I can even no shield this if I want to, but I think I do decide to shield, yeah, because I figure the Weather Ball is going to hit me harder than anything else left in the game, and I probably could have farmed down if I wanted to there, but I was not sure how much energy that Abomasnow had, so I took the safe route, going for the Breaking Swipe. Opponent's Azumarill comes in, and I think I could have gone for the Breaking Swipe there as well, but I was just going to try and reach for the Grass Knot, thinking they weren't quite at the Ice Beam, but they were, and with 2 HP or so. And all of its hopes and dreams. Heliolisk is going to get the Grass Knot and take out the Azumarill. Very good game to my opponent there. Awkward team. Oh, this is the end of it. So there's still another battle. Don't leave yet. Just wanted to show off that I did get a good set 4-1 with that team. Now, this is the last battle that I have here, but it's a doozy. Watch this. This is going to be great. So, Deoxys in the lead. I'm going to safe swap my Heliolisk, and then we draw out a Swampert. Y'all see I have Grass Knot. All right, so I'm going to just hope that the Swampert is very well aware that I'm running Grass Knot. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to make sure I'm managing my energy correctly, going for 1 Volt Switch and then going for charge moves. I'm going to go for a Breaking Swipe and we get the shield. So my opponent's definitely respecting the Grass Knot here. And I'm pretty sure 1 Hydro Cannon, regardless of how many debuffs I throw at this thing, would probably KO. So I'm going to go for 1 more, then the Breaking Swipe. And if I get the shield here, I'm going to go for the Grass Knot because they're not going to be at a Hydro Cannon yet. Or we will CMP on the Grass Knot. But getting to that Grass Knot, playing up the 2 shield scenario was a good decision here. Heliolisk is going to take out the Swampert, and then my opponent comes back in with a Noctowl Trainer. What are you doing? I don't know. Look, I'm not going to question it. The opponent has a good reason for it. You'll see why in a moment. But the Noctowl is going to take a Breaking Swipe. The opponent CMPs me here, and they are going to no shield or no charge the Sky Attack, it looks like, trying to get some farm down. But Heliolisk just too quick, putting in so much work in this game here. Steelix is just sitting back there for moral support. And the opponent comes in with a Lantern, and because they saw the Grass Knot, that's why they didn't want to come in with the Lantern, because they didn't know how much energy my Heliolisk had. So it's going to be a good game. Opponent doesn't want to play it out. I think I mean, I don't know if they had a chance between Steelix and Deoxys with no shield. Steelix probably just gets to Earthquake before that. But anyway, that's going to do it for me for this video, guys. Just wanted to showcase these two Pokemon. Steelix absolutely top meta now. Heliolisk is on the fringe of like anti-meta, core breaker status. And obviously we know Deoxys is good. So thank you all so much for watching. We're going to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.